Let's hear some more of what he has to say. Turn up, if you're just joining, I want you to turn up the volume on your device and go close to it. Take notes. Please listen keenly.
The Democratic Labour Party established an office in Barbados by legislation called the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions. We didn't have one before, and we passed legislation in 1963 to establish the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions. The Director of Public Prosecutions has enormous powers. We can start a criminal prosecution against anybody. If you start a criminal prosecution against anybody, he can come and take it over from you, and you can't refuse it. And he can discontinue a criminal prosecution against anyone. The Director of Public Prosecution. Enormous powers. And the only person who can give him not even instructions, but who is permitted to consult with him on certain matters is the Attorney General, and those certain matters are specifically set out in the Constitution. Barbados has had 7 directors of public prosecutions since the office was established. The first one was not a Barbadian. His name was Sir Wilfred Jacobs. He went on to become governor of Antigua sometime. He was between 1964 and 1966. But the first local director of public prosecutions was Mr. Clifford Husbands, later to become Justice Clifford Husbands, still later to become Justice of Appeal Clifford Husbands, and still later to become Sir Clifford Husbands, Governor General of Barbados. He was the first local director of public prosecutions of Barbados. He served from 1967 until 1976. In 1976, under the Barrow administration, he was appointed a High Court judge. But let me tell you what happened in 1968, the year after he was appointed. He prosecuted Mr. Burton Hines, who was then the Member of Parliament for St. Peter, for criminal libel. That is, a publication that, in his judgment, could cause a disturbance of the peace or create undue animosity and hatred in the society. Justice Husbands, Mr. Husbands, the Director of Public Prosecutions, prosecuted Burton Hines for criminal libel. Grantley Adams, he was not Sir Grantley yet. In fact, he was Sir Grantley. Yeah, he was Sir Grantley, 1968. Sir Grantley Adams was leader of the opposition. And he said, but that prosecution is foolishness. That is an embarrassment. If the director had been honest with himself, he wouldn't do something like that. Now, Sir Grantley was wise enough to make those statements in Parliament because he was covered by absolute privilege. Nobody could sue him for anything he said. He was saying that in Parliament. The Advocate newspaper reported what Sir Grantley said, but reported it in a way that did not protect the advocate from a suit in the law courts, because the advocate was not covered by absolute privilege. It was reporting from the House. But the privilege on the basis of which it was reporting was not absolute, it was only qualified. And the matter was heard. Husband sued the advocate, and the matter was heard. And the court awarded Clifford Husbands $20,000 in damages. $20,000 in 1968 was a lot of money. The advocate appealed, but the Court of Appeal did not agree that the award should be disturbed, and therefore, there the matter rested. You might wonder why I told you that story. Now, as I told you, Husbands served from 1967 until 1976. In 1976, the same year that Husbands was made a judge, another Husbands was appointed Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. John Husbands. And he served from 1976 until 1987. And in 1987, when he was appointed a judge, another director was appointed, Mr. Cecil Tulloch. He served from 1987 until 1992. And in 1992, when he was no longer director, the appointment went to Mr. Garvey Husbands, who served from 1992 until 1996, before he became a judge as well. And then in 1997, we had the longest serving Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Charles Leacock, who served from 1997 until 2017. And since he died in the second half of 2017, the next director appointed under my administration was Ms. Donna Barb Eargard, who served from 2018 until her appointment as a judge last year, June last year. But you know something? In the by-election campaign of 2025 in St. James North, for some strange reason, I could not understand why. I don't know what it meant, but I knew it meant something. The Prime Minister went on the platform and, as we say in Barbados, called out the Director of Public Prosecutions for discontinuing a prosecution against, I think, 3 young men. As he subsequently explained, the evidence was insufficient, but he had the power to discontinue. I told you already, he can start, he can take over, or he can discontinue. I asked myself, but why would she consider this important at this time? What does this mean? Quietly, the answer has been coming to me. I told you that when Clifford Husbands became a judge in 1976, in the same year, 1976, John Husbands was appointed. I told you when John Husbands became a judge in 1987, in the same year, Garvey Husbands was appointed. And I told you that when Garvey Husbands became a judge in 1996, in just a few weeks or months, Charles Leacock was appointed. Today, as I speak to you at Princess Margaret School, this country has never been without a substantive Director of Public Prosecutions for as long as in the present situation. Barbados does not at present have and appointed director of public prosecution. We have never taken this long before to appoint one. And let me tell you what my worry is. What we cannot afford to have is a director of public prosecutions appointed on contract. Because when you're on contract, you know what happens. You want the contract renewed. The director of public prosecutions, especially in light of all that's going on in Barbados now, needs a free hand. And we therefore want to see a director of public prosecutions appointed in Barbados. We have never done without one for as long as we've done without one on this occasion. That, in my view, is another cause for disquiet in the course of our democracy since 1951. We've never had these problems before. We've never had a prime minister go on a political platform and call out a department of public prosecutions, a constitutionally protected office, as we have had in St. James North in 2025. And we do not have a substantively appointed director of public prosecutions in Barbados. This is the longest time we have done without one, or we've had to do without one. That is worrying. Another nail in the coffin of the rule of law, if it is not corrected and corrected promptly. Independence of the judiciary, now director of public prosecution. And if citizens are not worried about those things, then something is fundamentally wrong with the citizenry. Because these things go to the very root of your capacity to live in this society and to live in peace and quiet and free from molestation, free from persecution, and so on. So, the confidence we used to have in elections, that confidence has been undermined. The judiciary has been under attack. And we have no director of public prosecution.
Folks, wow, this is, I told you, we couldn't let this pass. We could not let this pass. Did you hear what the former PM has said? You might not believe us, but at least believe him. He is a legal luminary. He is a former prime minister. Did you hear what he said about the director of public prosecution? Do you realize that we are operating without a DPP, an appointed DPP? There's no permanently appointed director of public prosecution. After Donna Bob Agard was appointed to the High Court as a judge in 2025, the post became vacant. And it has not been filled. What we have is an acting director of public prosecutions. And the question is, how do we, what are our thoughts about that as Barbadians? VR is saying she didn't know all of this. What are our thoughts? He went through the whole history from 1964 to 1966 and went all the way, took us down to where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. We had 7 DPPs. The last one done about Agard. We have not had one. We have discussed that on this show, and I want to know what is it that needs to be done for us to understand the seriousness. Do we understand the role of the DPP? What is the role of the DPP? Do we realize that the DPP needs to be totally independent? When the DPP needs to be independent, because they should not be, involved in political favoritism or be subjected to political persecution or prosecutions. That independent DPP is protected from corruption, the way the whole system is set up. But here comes this government, and this government is piercing that veil, and in my opinion, interfering with the role of the job of the DPP. And I remembered when lawyers, a criminal lawyer, made a big issue about it, but Barbadians went about their business as though it was no problem. Mr. Thorne raised a hell over it. Don't we realize the seriousness of the situation? The reason the DPP needs to be independent, the principle behind it is that every Barbadian should be equal before the law. Right? Every Barbadian should be equal before the law. And when the DPP is independent, it gives that ordinary citizen that reassurance that they will get justice, possibly get justice before the courts. The ordinary citizen is protected, is equal before the law. The government minister, the members of parliament, any business executive, a police officer, everyone should be equal before the law. So there should be no interference politically, no abuse of power. Can the cabinet overrule the DPP? No. The cabinet nor the parliament. They can't. They don't have that authority to overrule. So what was it the prime minister doing? Can the prime minister tell the DPP how to prosecute someone? But we are in a one-party state. Do we see where we're heading here? So the prime minister is now, is it that the prime minister is going to now direct the DPP on how whether to charge someone, to drop charges, delay a prosecution, whether they're going to target a political opponent? According to the Constitution. And guys, the number is there. Call, please, call, please. Correct. They all feel that level of loyalty already to the prime minister, to Mia Mottley. I agree. And then worse, when she is, if it appears as though she is pulling strings. So folks, the line is open. I'm just talking. Okay, somebody's calling. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Good night, Marcia. So good to be able to call tonight.
Yes,
I
sir.
came in late, had to go back and listen to some of what Mr. Stuart, the Honorable friend of Stuart, would have spoken. So I would have been up to date, as it were, with the recent conversation. I've always admired Mr. Stuart for his detailed presentations. We are using Barbados to a lot of emotionalism and so forth. But anytime you listen to Mr. Stuart, you can be guaranteed that you're going to come away with substance.
Mm-hmm.
And I admire him to the point that if you watch him, he speaks very much without notes. Yes, there's some notes that he has, but he's able to deliver dates and names and so forth because he's a brilliant orator. He's one of the best that I've come across in our country. So what he was speaking about just now, I have also felt it very, very worrying. And he has now further helped us to understand the state that we are in because we remember that there was a phone call made, I think, a Sunday night to the
attorney, the auditor general.
Auditor General.
Yes.
And the Constitution of Barbados prevents any person from interfering in that position. As we speak, I don't think that there's some person appointed as yet.
No.
As the Auditor General.
No.
So we have a situation where we do not have any person appointed as the Director of Public Prosecutor. And therefore, these are two worrying and seriously worrying situations because we do know that when there was the retirement of Commissioner of Police, Erwin Boyce was the Deputy Commissioner of Police at that time. But yet, and not just, he was the most qualified police officer in Barbados at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But the position was given to Richard Boyce, who was way junior.
Yes, I remember you saying that.
Erwin Boyce.
Yes.
Erwin Boyce has subsequently retired. Now we are seeing in today's nation where Richard Boyce is retiring because he's going to be 67 later this year, and only God knows if he'll be brought back as a consultant, because he may very well be brought back as a consultant. Now, the present commissioner, and I applaud her. I am so excited that we have our first female commissioner of police, but she was the deputy commissioner of police. So it's interesting that Richard Boyce was not the deputy commissioner. Erwin Boyce was, but he did not get the position. So if you're looking at any consistency, there's none, because like the Prime Minister just said just now, we are now appointing individuals to positions based on a contract of service, and this is crazy in Barbados. It is crazy in Barbados where you have a public officer, you've been working for 30, 40 years, and now when it comes to the position of appointment, you now have to be employed under contract for maybe 6 months, for a year. And therefore, after a year, someone is interviewed and is given the position, and therefore, you no longer have a job. We have some frightening situations in Barbados.
Yes, Mr.
Strickland. I'm really appreciative of the knowledge of Mrs. Stuart. But you see, there's a mindset in Barbados, and I remember when Mrs. Stuart spoke at the DLP's branch meeting at North Stars, I think 2 years ago. One of our media personnel or so came out and said that he had no right. He was to address a DLP branch meeting. In other words, you are no longer the Prime Minister. You are worth nothing, and therefore you don't have the right to stand up in your own country and address people that have invited you to speak. this is the state that we are in.
That we're in, and with these serious infractions or serious occurrences where we don't have the confidence. The first thing he spoke about, which we couldn't hear properly, was about having confidence in our elections. We have lost that confidence in our elections. We have seen where the judiciary, where there's no separation to us, is what it appears, separation of powers within the judiciary arm. And here it is, the director of public prosecution. We can remember, when their decision was being questioned by the prime minister, and they have not appointed any over a year now, and nobody has been appointed as the DPP. Where I agree with you, we are in a serious crisis.
Marcia, we had serious problems with our election. Who was in charge of elections? Our present Leslie is. He is no. So you moved him from the area of the elections where we had mass problems, and he's now over the judiciary.
Over the judiciary.
So
just after, right after the election, then you rewarded him with that position. So how are I mean, this is serious, Carlo. Very, very serious, Mr. Strickland.
Right. So there are a lot of question marks that we have, and I really applaud you for making his speech this afternoon available to us, because I would never have been able maybe to get in on that presentation. So therefore, I'm really appreciative that we all have been able. I was hearing pretty well. I know it was a bit low, but I heard all of the first presentation, and now
you're hearing now.
To listening to anymore. Okay?
Well, I would love for you to. Thank you so much for calling and for your very important contribution. And we're going to take one more caller, and then what we're going to do, we're going to go back to it. Feel free to call in as many times as you want to call in. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Well, folks, we have another. I mean, are these things? I mean, is this bothering anybody? I don't know. Anybody listening where you're thinking this is such a travesty? Anybody? I mean, this is, it's amazing, really amazing what we have become as Barbadians. What we have become and what we are allowing. What we are allowing. And I love to know when the elderly, when those senior among us can come and remind us. That's why I love this show. We have a lot of seniors who are watching this show, and they remind me, or they tell me, or they teach me about Barbados and what is so special about Barbados. Well, here's one of them on the line. Mr. Nigel Newton. Give us your thoughts on what you just heard a while ago before we go into the next segment.
With reference to what the former Prime Minister said regarding the judiciary, I accept and agree with what his analysis of the situation, because there has to be a separation of powers in any system of governance. And clearly, the Prime Minister has breached all of those guardrails and is now doing as she feels like. Okay? So with the assault on the DPP, I think Mr. Stuart made a reference to that.
Yes, sir.
I was taken aback at the way the Prime Minister bawled out, so to speak, the DPP in public. And that is a clear violation of the independence of the DPP and a violation of our constitutional order, right? Because the Constitution has given clear guidelines as to how public officers, down from the Prime Minister, the Governor General, we have guidelines as to how they must behave.
Yes.
And that was violated when the Prime Minister intervened in the matter relating to the DPP and also with the judges, because you cannot put your judges under that kind of pressure and think that you will have an independent judiciary or that there will be a democracy. And my concern to here, Mr. Stuart made a lot of reference, but in my analysis, Barbados is not a democracy.
Correct.
We are no longer a democracy because a democracy involves more than going to the ballot booth and casting an X on election day.
Yeah.
I call that ballot box democracy. Real democracy is when the government is actively responding to the needs and the wishes of the people. When the people have a say in what should happen to them individually and as a nation. And clearly, since 2018, we have been suffering from what I called some time ago a constitutional hiatus. That is back when the election was called or concluded in 2018, May 25th, 2018, and we realized that there was no elected member of parliament to sit as the leader of the opposition. That was the time for us to take stock of what is happening and nip it in the bud.
Yes. Well, caller, I'll give you another minute to make your point, and remember you can call in as many times as possible. But we want to go back to listen, so I'll give you another minute, Nigel, to complete. Go right ahead.
Okay, I can let you go, but the point is, though, Marcia, is that we should have corrected that constitutional hiatus way back then. The legal fraternity,
yes,
the academic community at KFL, in conjunction with the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, should have met and analyzed the implications of not having a leader of the opposition. Rather than doing that, Barbadians failed to elect a leader of the opposition in 2022 and 2026. Hence, no democracy.
Yes. Thank you so much for calling, Mr. Newton, and feel free to call back. Right, but we're going to delve in a little bit more. If you aren't saddened, thank you so much, Mr. Newton. We appreciate your calls. Thank you.